All right, so if you want to hit the driver really daggone straight, far, hit a lot of fairways, and have a blast playing golf, this is the perfect video. I got some simple tips for you, and I'm going to knock out a lot of misconceptions. One of those is that you don't actually want to line up straight toward the target necessarily to hit a straight shot. You also don't want to try to keep your face square to the target all the way through impact if you want to hit it straight. And finally, you don't want to hit the center of the sweet spot necessarily to get the straightest, longest shots. We're going to dive into all those. So first, let's talk about your alignment. Now, the golf swing is happening on a bit of an arc. So if I'm looking from down the line again, my hands are swinging on this plane. The club head is swinging on a plane like this also. Now, the bottom of that arc where you contact the golf ball is not a straight line, then it's curved. And if you imagine this like an alignment stick being bent as this is the bottom of that arc, so this would be a straight up and down arc or a swing that would be straight up and down. This would be straight around my body. Well, this is at an angle like this. So the bottom of the swing looks a lot more curved like that. Now, in the golf swing, we want to hit up on the driver. It helps it to launch a little bit higher. It reduces spin, which increases your distance. Just a lot easier to hit it farther and hit it better if you're hitting slightly up on it. That's one of the reasons that you play the ball position with the driver off the inside of the front foot. And it's also a reason that you want to tee it up fairly high, which we'll get to here in a second. Now, given that, if you imagine the bottom of this hoop or this arc is the bottom of the swing, well, we're going to be hitting the driver in front of the bottom of the swing. And if we're looking at from the down the line view, that means that it's going back up to the left a little bit. So if you imagine it, I'm going to exaggerate here a little bit. I'm putting the low point of the swing behind the golf ball. And if you look at it from the down the line view, you'll see how that club is starting to come in slightly to the left. Now, Hogan had it right. He talked about how as you put the ball back in your stance will get narrower and your foot alignment would get more open to where when you put it with a driver, your stance will get wider and your alignment would get more to the right. So essentially what we're doing here, since this is on this arc, if my low point is, if this arc is square to the target, my club's going to be moving back up to the left. That's a little bit of a fade type swing. So if you want to make it easier on yourself, most players struggle to hit a fade or too much of a fade already. Let's not make it any harder than it has to be. Let's tilt this until the point of our arc where we'd be hitting the golf ball is square up here and not the bottom of the arc. So basically, the bottom of our arc is going to be a little bit out to the right, or feel like our feet are lined up slightly to the right. Our body's lined up slightly to the right. That makes it easier to get a square path as you actually hit the golf ball. So long story short, we made that a lot more complicated than it had to be. All you need to do is line up about 5 or 10 yards to the right of the center of the fairway. I found that helps most players to get a little bit more inside out path. Just makes it a lot easier that way. I've also found that if you line up kind of down the right center or even right edge of the fairway, it's going to force you to hit more of a draw type swing, which is what we're going to get into next. So let's go ahead and hit one here. I'll try to hit that nice little draw, get lined up a little bit more to the right. Let's see what happens. There we go. I started that one out what would be the right center of the fairway and started to draw it back in. Now, that brings me to the second piece. I don't want to have the face square at contact to hit straight shots. Now, this is one that took me years to figure out. I didn't really figure this out until I was on the mini tours. I'd always watched the players that were better than me. Back then, I didn't know nearly as much as I do about the swing now. I was always trying to figure out what was going on. And I noticed that the players that were really good, most of the ones that were better than me, I always set up with a little bit of a shut club face, meaning that my club face was a little bit closed like this at address. So I always felt like I had to work a little bit to get the ball to draw, and I like to play a little bit of a draw. And I'd have this club face closed. And I tried to hold that face square through contact. Now, at that point, I felt like my swing was held together with duct tape and shoestrings. Like it was just going to fall apart at any moment, and I could never get complete control of the face. When I looked at those better players, instead of their face being a little closed like this, I started to notice their faces were open. Heck, one of the guys that was the best player, one of the best players on this tour, won a boatload of money, seemed like he won everything. His face was like 15 degrees open, he's hitting the ball dead straight. And I'm thinking to myself, if my club face was 15 degrees open, had address, I ain't gonna be able to keep this daggone thing on the planet. It feels like it's gonna slice off 30 yards, 40 yards to the right. Well, I tried it out, and what I realized is I was trying to control the club face too much. I started to switch to a feeling of letting the face open in the backswing, almost like a door hinge. So here's my square door hinge. This is the club face here. I'm going to hit the ball square. I want that face to open in the backswing. I'm going to go ahead and let that open up, and in the downswing, I'm going to let it close. If I had the face a little bit more open, then intuitively, because your brain is smart, it realizes, well, if my club face is a little open at address, and I feel like it opens and closes, the momentum of my club is actually closing through contact. You see, if I close the club face and I hood it down like this, which a lot of players do this to try to fix their slice, they close it thinking of it easier. Well, your brain's not dumb. It knows what has to happen. That ball's going to go dead left if I do that. So your momentum of your club head is opening to hit a good shot. If I start with it slightly open, if I let it open even more in the backswing, in the downswing, whereas the momentum of my club is releasing. It's turning over, it's squaring up. And when the momentum of the club is going that way, I don't have to manipulate it so much. The ball wants to draw all under its own power. So here I'm going to open up the face a little bit extra. And again, I'm going to try to hit a nice draw with a slightly inside-out path. There we go. Hit that one low and hard. Nice solid shot. 275 on the carry, which is pretty good considering it was a fairly low shot. 317 on the rollout, so definitely happy with that. If you're struggling to hit it straight, again, let the face open, let the momentum of it close down as you're coming through the shot. So the next thing I want to go over is you don't always want to hit the dead center of the sweet spot to have the straightest, longest drive. So I'm going to take some Dr. Scholl's Odor-X odor fighting spray powder with Sweat Match technology. Everybody always asks me which one this is. The yellow can shows up the best on these clubs. They make one that's just made for spraying your golf club, but it's not as good as this, to be honest with you. Spray that on there. Now, if I hit the dead center of the sweet spot, yes, it will be straight. But for most players, what I've seen, they struggle to fade the ball a little bit too much, or it's inconsistent. One of them fades, one of them snap hooks. And lots of distance is killed by getting too much on the heel. When I see players that are playing their worst, it's almost always a heel shot. That adds spin to it, it kills your distance, and it really just makes it much more inconsistent. The reason is, whenever you hit off the heel, the club head's actually moving slower than when you hit off the toe. So again, the club head's closing like I was talking about. Everybody's club head's closing to some degree as they're hitting. The heel's moving anywhere from 8 to 12 miles an hour slower than the toe, which means the sweet spot is moving 4, 5, 6 miles an hour slower, faster than the heel. So if I hit one off the heel here, I'm going to try to intentionally hit one off the heel, and you'll see that last one, like I said, 317. Let me go ahead and give it a good shot, swing here. I'll try to hit it off the heel, do my best, and see what it does to my distance. There we go. So again, usually it's a little bit of a fade, but like I said, it can be inconsistent. The club head just twists around. I went from 317 to 276. Now, maybe your normal drive goes 220. It doesn't matter the distance. Well, your normal's 220. The heel shot goes 180. So there, as you can see, much, much, much lower on the face, much more on the heel. That's going to kill your consistency. I want you to spray this face, and what I want you to do is what's called an interleaving drill. It's been proven to help you speed up your improvement by up to 11 times faster. I want you to draw a vertical line with your finger on the sweet spot like this. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just draw it like that, right on the sweet spot. And then I want you to alternate 6 shots. I want you to hit one on the toe, one on the heel, one on the toe, one on the heel. And you keep trying to hit one on the toe until you can successfully do it. As soon as you hit a successful one on the toe side, you move back to the heel. The only rule here, just the center of that mark has to be on the toe side. You don't have to put the whole mark over here. I don't want you, knocking it way off the toe and the heel and going all over the face. A millimeter off the toe is perfectly fine. That counts as a toe shot. Then you go a millimeter off the heel. So anywhere from all the way over on the very end of the toe to 1 millimeter on the toe, any of that's fine. I just want you to gain an awareness of where you're hitting on the club face. So again, if I go ahead and here and swing again, if I want to hit a high one and a hard one, I'm going to hit it slightly on the toe and a little bit higher on the face. That's going to get me the most distance. And nothing beats, if you don't have this Odor-X powder, you're not spraying your club, you're just leaving a lot in the bag. You could be hitting your driver so much better with just a little bit of feedback like that. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. There we go. Hit that one pretty hard. Back up to 307 again, and you'll see a little bit on the toe on that one. So when you're hitting off the heel, inconsistency, shorter drives, you lose 20 or 30 yards really, really easily there. Now, one of the most important things here is to make sure that you get good rotation in your backswing. If you're gonna have distance, it's absolutely critical. And that's what I call the power turn in the top speed golf system. And all that means is, if I'm doing this in my backswing and just arming it, versus this in my backswing and getting good rotation, this one is gonna go a whole heck of a lot farther and be a whole lot better. The best thing here, you don't have to be flexible at all to make that happen. You can be stiff as a board, and when I show you a couple secrets with that, you'll immediately loosen up, you'll get that bigger turn, and you'll start hitting a lot farther. I'm gonna play you one of my best power turn videos, a preview of that here in a second. All you need to do, go ahead and click on one of those cards that pop up on the screen. If you don't see a card, click down below in the link in the description, and you'll get instant access to that video. I can't wait to share with you the power turn and help you hit it a whole lot better. Let's go and get started. Most of the instruction out there today is killing you of your power. The things that they're telling you to do can make you hit it shorter, and worse than that, not even any more consistent. I'm gonna go over some of the real secrets to powerful, consistent golf in this video. Let's go and get started. So here's some of the keys into making that happen. If you wanna incorporate this in your swing, let me break it down exactly what you should do. Number one, let's focus on the belt buckle. This is another big misconception. I want to keep that belt buckle facing the ball so I can really stretch out my midsection and really get loaded up. I'm not a big fan of that. That's really going to kill your distance. In your backswing, I want to feel like that belt buckle rotates to the right and you really let your hips and legs be loose. Notice how my legs are moving here. I'm not trying to keep those rigid and tight, or I'm really just taking all the speed out of my swing. All right, so on that one, I really felt like I let my belt buckle rotate back. And a good key to this is feel like your knees are loose. Feel like when you make your backswing. Piece number two, let's go ahead and rotate our shoulders. When I let my lower body rotate, my upper body can rotate a lot better also. So if I let my hips move, my shoulders will move more. So here, once I've got my hips working well, I'm gonna add to that my shoulders making a big rotation. On average, on the PGA Tour, players are getting about 120 degrees of shoulder rotation. I don't see hardly anybody getting less than 90 degrees. So it starts with the hips, knees nice and loose, allow the belt buckle to rotate, and then from there, so those are two really big keys. But here's the truth. There's one thing, and if you don't do this correctly, nothing else is gonna work.